What's going on guys, Swint Plays here. Today I'm going to be talking about Assassin's Creed Origins and comparing it to the newly released Assassin's Creed Mirage. Which game is better? Which hidden one is more lethal? Who would destroy the other? Let's get into it and find those answers. Alright guys, if you've seen my last video reviewing Mirage, I'll be rating both games in that same manner. If you haven't seen it, go check it out after this as it will be a lot more in-depth on Mirage and its systems both introduced and returned. With that being said guys, let's begin. Starting out with stealth. I gave Mirage a 9 out of 10 in stealth. Stealth in that game is simply amazing. In my opinion, it's some of the best stealth we have seen from the franchise to date. Social stealth returned in a far superior way when compared to AC Valhalla. Tools designed around stealth. It has a pickpocketing system, notoriety system, it's all just great there, check out more details in my review. But yes, 9 out of 10, amazing, but I still see room for improvement. So how does AC Origins stealth compare? It doesn't, guys, sorry for the dramatic pause. Yeah no, Origins stealth is far inferior. No social stealth at all. No guaranteed assassinations. Got to level up that hidden blade to get those kills. Tools feel worse in every way. But believe it or not, stealth in Origins is still not the worst in the franchise, so I say it gets the job done. At least Bayek has the hidden blade. All jokes aside, stealth in my opinion on Origins is neither great nor terrible. It's fine. I don't mind the decision the developers made to remove social stealth entirely from Origins if it means it's not half-baked or useless like another game in the franchise. So for stealth, I give Origins a 7 out of 10. It's acceptable all things considered. So yeah, the first point goes to Mirage hands down. Let's jump into combat. This is a little hard to compare as AC Mirage's combat feels more like the older titles in my opinion, but Origins combat was the start of something new entirely.
The start of something new. Start of something new. Start of something new.
Origins was the first game in the franchise to introduce the more RPG-style combat, which really slowed combat down a lot, and made it more tedious. Mirage on the other hand brings back one-button parry kills and does seem to flow faster, which I like. That being said, Mirage does force you to play with one weapon type, sword and dagger. In my review I mentioned this being seen as a potential downside when compared to the variety other titles bring. Origins is for sure one of those other titles. Origins has heavy blunt weapons, dual swords, sickle swords, spears, heavy blade weapons, and many more. On top of that, Origins has several bows. Predator bows, light bows, hunter bows, and warrior's bows. All feel and play completely different, which can be quite useful for playing a game for a long time. Helps to keep combat feeling fresh. So yes, I prefer the faster flowing combat in Mirage, but I appreciate the variety given to me for combat in Origins. I gave Mirage an 8 out of 10 for combat, and I duplicated this score for Origins. 8 out of 10. So Mirage leads going into our next category, and that's parkour. I'll keep this short. Mirage's parkour is better. It's tighter, more responsive, but really elevated by the location of 9th century Baghdad and how that map was designed. Origins however doesn't have the benefit of being located within such a small, dense, inner city. But rather more expensive, open desert terrain across ancient Egypt. That being said, Mirage doesn't revolutionize parkour in the franchise in my opinion. Mirage scored 7 out of 10. I give Origins 6 out of 10. Both can be improved drastically and I hope to see just that for Codename Red when gameplay details are released. Next category, location. Mirage being set in 9th century Baghdad and Origins being set in ancient Egypt. Both locations are some of the most beautiful, jaw-dropping experiences I've ever had in a video game and are excellent in their own ways. The narrow dense streets of Baghdad, and the open adventurous landscapes of ancient Egypt. How could one possibly choose? Both do an amazing job at immersing the player within that universe and capturing an atmosphere not really experienced by me from many other franchises. Like I've said in the past, I've come to expect this from the AC franchise, and if they continue to put this much time and effort into the locations of their future titles, I will never fail to be impressed. The world is their oyster, quite literally. So how can I choose? I gave Mirage's location of 9th century Baghdad 10 out of 10, and Origins Ancient Egypt gets the same. 10 out of 10. There is no choosing, both are great and fit perfectly within the confines of each game respectively. The next category going forward with Mirage ahead by a bit is story. No major story spoilers in this category, so no worries there. Getting to see Basim grow from a common street thief to a fully fledged assassin in Mirage was a good experience. I enjoyed the process of working my way up to getting those white and blues. But when you look at his story as a whole, you realize Mirage only has half of it, which is fine for sure, but can become problematic when certain sequences aren't explained in a way where everyone can understand. But rather in a way where only those who've completed Valhalla can. This isn't inherently bad, it's a prequel, play the prior game they'll say. And I agree, sort of. You see, this game touting a return to its roots is likely going to pull people quote-unquote back into the franchise. Keyword being back. So why did they leave to begin with? Probably because they didn't like the bloated RPG that the franchise has become. So given the marketing, the change in gameplay completely, and the decision to make this its own standalone game rather than a Valhalla expansion, I think the story could have been a bit more all-encompassing. The very people this game is targeting are the very people who probably haven't played, and will not be playing 103 hours of Valhalla. So they don't know Basim for who or what he is there. They will likely be confused and with unanswered questions at the end of Mirage. Yeah, you can watch a video on YouTube explaining the ending, which is helpful. But how many out of the masses want to and are going to do that? It was for this reason primarily that I gave the story a 7 out of 10 on Mirage. The plot isn't great, but it's not bad. Nice twists, good story progression, but struggles with pacing, and struggles in telling its own complete story to an audience who returned to a game returning to its roots. That being said, Origins is a lot different. Side note, going forward there may be spoilers to Origins and Valhalla, so if by some chance you haven't played those games and still want to experience those stories with full ignorance, here's that warning. No spoilers for Mirage, so all good there. Diving back in, Bayek in Origins is all you need to know to understand its story and plot. On top of that, the story of Origins being that of the beginning of the Hidden Ones, also known in the future as Assassins, is just far better in my opinion. It's an origin story to my favorite franchise of all time. And despite what they might tell you, this is the beginning, not that other thing. At least that's what I'll always believe. Anyway, seeing who and what drives Bayek to take down the order, and attempt to end corruption in Egypt is really enjoyable. Bayek losing a child. And to his own hand at that. Granted, his hand was forced. No pun intended. Or maybe it was. Regardless, seeing that early on gives us a lot of understanding for his purpose and reason. We from the very beginning, without any other game's context, can identify this as yet another revenge story in the AC universe. Sound familiar? But this story quickly isolates itself from the others with its depth and character uniqueness. We see the worst part of Bayek's life at the very beginning and are left the rest of the game seeing how that day changed him forever. And it feels that way. Despite popular hater beliefs, Bayek is not always angry. He is a very dynamic character who struggles with anger issues. Check out his first therapy session.
Save your own son. You are no one. Bayek of nothing, father to nobody! And here is your nobody! May the Hidden One greet you. The Lord of the Duat awaits.
All jokes aside though, Bayek does show a range of emotions within this story that add depth. He isn't always angry, but he also hasn't had decades to process his grief. He is a more serious protagonist, sure, but what should we expect, given his circumstances? If he wouldn't have been more serious in nature, it would have broken the immersion for me and in turn, made the story feel disconnected from the character. We have his motive, we know what drives him, and Origins does a great job at presenting one of my favorite stories in the franchise. So for me, I give Origins story a 9 out of 10. So how about the Hidden Ones themselves? Which is better? Who would win should a fight ensue? I'll break this into categories as well to determine who I feel the better Hidden One actually is. And based on this, award 1 point to the total category score. Starting with strength, this one goes to Bayek. Speaking of true assassins or hidden ones, Connor is likely the only one ahead of Bayek here. Now let's talk stealth. This one goes to Basim easily. He is amongst the greatest to ever do it in the stealth category, so no surprises there. What about speed? Who's faster? This one is tougher in my opinion as compared to most because Bayek be moving. Dude be flying like that on sand with all of that gear on and everything. That being said, I give Basim the win here because he does seem to edge out Bayek here, but not by as much as many might think. Next category, parkour. This one goes to Basim. No question here in my opinion. What about combat? Though the games got equal scores here, the protagonists do not. Basim wins the stealth and is superior with the hidden blade and assassinations. But Bayek is a master of arms. He can fight with many weapon types and in many ways. He's capable of fighting large groups of enemies just outright. And he wasn't bested in his story by another protagonist in the franchise. Just saying. Combat goes to Bayek. What about resilience? Also goes to Bayek. Both physically and emotionally Bayek proves to be extremely resilient and I place him above Basim here. Lastly then, what about IQ? This one is tough. On one hand, Bayek was able to do so much in so little time because of how intelligent and determined he was. But on another hand Basim quite literally figured out a way to cheat death. Leaning into the fact that he got himself killed to begin with and that all of his knowledge isn't technically his own, I'm going to also give this one to Bayek. This could change should we get a sequel to either, but the amount of things Bayek was able to figure out and accomplish in such a small time, and in ancient Egypt at that, is truly incredible. Not to mention he was part of an elite squad tasked with guarding the pharaoh. He would definitely have been very knowledgeable in tactics, detective work, and much more. He also co-founded the brotherhood we know and love today, which would require an intelligent person. So yeah, Bayek takes this category for me as well. Which of the two hidden ones is better? For me I'm saying Bayek. If it were possible to see those two go toe-to-toe, I have no doubt Bayek would be the last one standing. Now if you all could direct your attention to the screen as I quickly show my work on my calculations, you'll see that we actually have a tie at 8.2. So goodbye all and take care. Just kidding. For the tiebreaker I have decided to go by which game I personally enjoyed more, and for that I have awarded the winner to Assassin's Creed. Origins. This was an extremely difficult choice to make, and realistically both are great games, just depends on what you prioritize more. Do you prioritize stealth and linear gameplay? If so, Mirage is ideal. Do you prioritize story and connecting with the protagonist in a more open RPG fashion? If so, Origins is ideal. But for me personally, though I enjoy stealth and linear games a lot, I really enjoyed Origins and Bayek more than Mirage and Basim, even if just slightly. The story was more immersive and memorable. I felt more emotions when playing with Bayek through his adventures. He felt significantly more important to the franchise as a whole. With that being said and Origins being dubbed the winner in my book, I do want to make it clear that both of these games are great. Just as we've seen the significant impact Origins has had on the franchise, I too hope to see Mirage impact the franchise and gameplay going forward. So what do you all think? Which game is better to you? Which hidden one? Let me know in the comments below, and if you enjoyed my take on these two titles and want to see more, please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel as it would help a lot. Until next time players, take care.